Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks. Nearly everything we are seeing in the mainstream media at the moment is there to condition us. A never-ending early release of government leaks, articles declaring one thing, with the next day saying the opposite, purely done to confuse you and disorientate the public. Articles constantly promising freedom if you do this or that, scaremongering, causing division in society to distract the public and so on. It's very clear that the governments around the world and the media are working hand to hand. And the aim is to control you. They work together to herd the public mentally into an area that they want them to be in. Think of the government and the media as the shepherd and the sheepdog, herding a flock of sheep, who over days and months work together to gradually manipulate the movement of the sheep until they finally get them to the destination they want. And that destination for the time being seems to be the health passport. You can see that this week with Dominic Raab mentioning that passports may be needed for supermarkets, pubs, everything. It caused uproar on social media. And then Boris saying the next day that, oh no, they won't be needed for shops, but they will probably be needed for international flights. Did you see how that worked? It's a gradual release of conflicting information that's not very clear in order to acclimatise the audience into accepting it. There was no official announcement on passports, but because of the Dominic Raab statement about supermarkets the day before, it meant that when Boris admitted that they were going to be used for flights, but not pubs, etc., it was an announcement that was cushioned by the impact of the day before. Yet they still said they were going to bring in the passports, which we've heard numerous ministers claim was never going to happen. We are all being psychologically played over and over again. The reason for all of these games is that they know that the health passport is a controversial subject and they want to announce it with as little negative feedback as possible. But to me, the passport is their ultimate goal. Restricting movement on the basis of biology threatens freedom, fairness and public health and exacerbates existing inequalities. If you want to be treated like cattle for the rest of your life, then this is the way to go. We already know that companies like Microsoft are working on cryptocurrency apps that will work with body activity data, which I'm sure at some point is planned to be implemented into these passports in time. And this leads me on to this video from the USA, from ABC News. This is from a few weeks ago. As you can see here, children in the USA at this school are being trained to get used to microchips. No, they aren't implanting them into the kids. Not yet. Of course, that would cause an uproar, as we've heard many a time. This is the boiling frog routine. All of these stages are introduced slowly in order to not startle the frog, who if it gets too hot would jump out of the pot. And this report is a good example of that, as is the announcements in the UK over the vaccine passport. But to me, this news segment, this is surely the first step, getting them to wear microchips at school. These poor kids, they beep now if they get within 2 meters of each other, and their movements are tracked completely throughout the day.
Eyewitness News reporter Giovanna Lara shows us the pandemic-stopping solution that could be coming to your school or workplace.
They call them boomerang bags, and it's how this West Hollywood private independent elementary school distributes classwork to students while they're learning from home.
Hello, hi, right there.
Every couple of weeks, parents drive through for a quick trade.
No, there's no food trade this time at all.
Meanwhile, the school has been mobilizing, getting ready for students when they're able to safely return to campus in 2021. Directional signage, creative reminders to stay 6 feet apart, and something new. These microchips, part of a digital contact tracing system. Every student, teacher, and staff on campus will wear one.
I was looking for something that I could use with 2-year-olds or 12-year-olds.
Ravita Bowers, head of school at the Center for Early Education, says a pediatric epidemiologist suggested she look into the Alert Trace contact tracing system for her students and staff.
They were very small devices. In the case of young children, you can clip it to the back of their shirt.
These mini microchips, powered by tiny batteries, track the movements of everyone wearing them.
If you get within 6 feet of another person, it will emit a tiny little signal.
But more importantly, says Bowers, they document those interactions, sending that data to the 27 hubs installed throughout campus.
It's an innovative solution for a difficult problem.
Kyle Hopkins is with Voss Systems, which launched Alert Trace just 6 months ago. The problem he's referring to, the tedious work of contact tracing.
It kind of does everything on its own. It collects the data, and then if for some reason you did have somebody test positive, you can easily go into the system, search for their user ID, and then see everybody that individual came in contact with, the date, the time, and how long those contacts were for.
Hopkins adds no one's identity is revealed. The system tracks user ID numbers, not names. The data looks like this when it's retrieved. And in this case, the Microchip minis stay on campus when students go home.
It allows you to better manage where those devices go, and it 100% makes the process more efficient.
And all that data, it serves another purpose, identifying any potential hotspots where people tend to gather a little longer than they should.
It's teaching us a lot. And as a teaching and learning institution, knowledge is power.
Seeing this reminds me of the Canadian school I reported on a month or so ago, where the kids as young as 5 were allowed back to school but weren't allowed to use their lockers or their desks, as the school believed they were transmission dangers from desks and lockers. The kids had to wear a mask all day, and instead of sitting at a desk, they were kneeling on the floor and using either their table or chair as their desk. What kind of madness is that? And this leads me on to this Montana Daily Gazette, a study about children and wearing masks. And really, when did we start to live in a society in where they need to do studies for something just so obvious? It says here, new study finds masks school children physically, psychologically and behaviourally. A new study involving over 25,000 school-aged children shows that masks are harming school children physically, psychologically and behaviourally, revealing 24 distinct health issues associated with wearing masks. The health issues and impairments observed in this study were found to affect 68% of masked children who are forced to wear a face covering for an average of 4.5 hours per day. The study also includes 17,854 health complaints submitted by parents. Some of the health issues found in the study include increased headaches, 53%, difficulty concentrating, 50%, drowsiness or fatigue, 37%, malaise, 42%, and nearly a third of children experienced more sleep issues than they had previously, and a quarter of children developed new fears, it says here. Though these results are concerning, the study also found that 29.7% of children experienced shortness of breath, 26.4% experienced dizziness, and hundreds of participants experiencing accelerated respiration, tightness in chest, weakness, and short-term impairment of consciousness. So again, it's obvious, but it's not something that is ever really raised in the media. And as I said a few days ago, here we have all of these Bill Gates funded sage scientists casually saying, oh, people could wear masks forever. From now on, it's not a big deal, is it? It doesn't cost much. Yet nobody ever mentions the sociological and psychological impact this will have. That is totally never taken into account. Why? The only conclusion I can come to is that they don't care. I'm putting the link to the petition against vaccination passports in the comments and description again, if you wish to sign it. And whatever country you are in, I strongly advise you to start up your own petitions, or better still, if someone could start up a worldwide petition against these jab passports, that would be even better. As always, thanks for listening. Come and subscribe to HugoTalks.com. It's the only platform in which I get to keep the subscribers. If I get deplatformed from YouTube or elsewhere, I lose the subscribers. So if you're going to subscribe to HugoTalks.com. And I'll see you tomorrow.